Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the internet. Welcome to the channel. My name is Prosec, and welcome back to McRaeathon 2022. We're coming up with the last run of the day, I believe. Sad time. But thank you very much for joining us so far, and there is another little bit that we'll be seeing tomorrow, which will be just as exciting. For now, though, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce Gran Turismo 2 by RotaMota. Take it away, my friend.
Morning all. It's weird doing this at 6:30 in the morning, but that's fine. I think it's like evening for everybody else that's watching this. Anyway, Gran Turismo 2. One of obviously the more recognizable franchises in racing games in the last 20 years, but nonetheless still broken, still very easy to go and knock over in a reasonable time, and it's actually kind of fun, even if it is just racing. The idea of speedrunning a racing game in itself doesn't sort of lend itself to logic, but for some reason it actually does work. So I'm just going to crack on with this. So you want me to give you a count-in for the timer?
Absolutely. Count us down.
All right, giving you a 3. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. So we're going to go and buy a car straight away. Because this game's like, oh, it gives you 10,000 credits, but most people are like, oh, 10 grand, you can't buy anything that can win a game with that. Well, actually, yes, you can. Because everybody knows the Toyota Supra is the best car in the world. That one, a bit of green car. As most of you are probably aware, with Gran Turismo games, the roster of second-hand cars in a lot of these early games was dictated by the day or the actual the RNG position of the game. And some cars are available at certain times. Why the hell is that showing that it's got full things? Okay, I'll just do it like this. Gonna go through and do all these again. Don't know why it's held those in memory. So yes, going from the start, it's a straight line, but it's actually harder to get these as a gold than it is for some of the later tests, because the way this game's braking works is not consistent. So you have to try and get the car sideways to try and stop faster. But it's just some of these cars take so long to get down the road. So, come on. Why that's faster than just hitting the brakes, I don't know. Ay. Now slightly faster, and then faster again. And the problem we have here is that we have no way of knowing what's going to happen until I hit the picks. Nice. Alrighty. Now fast time. Also, hello chat. I do see your names. Good after the morning. I hope you are more awake than I am. Oh, stops it nice. Now, this is the first map that's got a little bit of speedrun tech. If we basically, as you cross the finish line for all these tests, there is a 2-frame buffer where the game recognizes your time, but doesn't actually register that you finished. So you can exit the game, and it'll skip the little animation that shows you which trophy you got. Saves about 2 or 3 seconds per license test. I'm gonna give it one shot here, just because. Nah, missed it. Still gold anyway. It's fine. Same again. Like this, the theme of same again but faster is a thing you'll see regularly around here. $3:30 in the afternoon? What's this? I'm actually streaming at a time that Americans can watch? What? Oh, I'm not messing up golds. No. I will do $5 per fail license test though. How about that? $9.40. Oh, that's right. And this test is one of the first ones that really made people who didn't buy DualShock controllers when they bought their PlayStations think they made a mistake, because you can't, it's almost impossible to gold these tests without it, because you need to have that smooth analog movement. Famous last words. So I've just got to not mess up then. Well, maybe. And of course, these two tests are known, fairly well known as the jump scare tests, because as they start, you are basically limiter bashing, and if you've got your volume up at any kind of level, it gets loud fast. Alright, now we're into the proper ones. Holding that inside line a little too tight. Nearly gold though. And last two, another jump scare. I did leave my backing music on, but I have my backing music on just in case, because otherwise you just get all these horrible quiet sections where nothing's happening. But yeah, unfortunately, as with most, I think all but one of the Gran Turismo series, the included soundtrack will actually get you DMCA'd if you play it. So it's a bit of a pain like that. Even the original one, I think it had music by the Cardigans or something like that. Alright, 1 down, 4 to go. Oh, you'd be surprised. They can pick up a lot of stuff. It's kind of dumb, really. But haven't failed yet, touch wood. Once again, back to going fast in a straight line. And then letting RNG take the wheel at the 900 meter mark. Just gonna hold 4th gear the whole way. Ah, oh, fuck, that's a fail. Damn it, RNG, that's $5. Alright. And of course, this time it gives me the nice stop. There we go. Now they thought that it would be a great idea to just put a kick in the tail of this first. At the 800, start moving in. Reasonable. Mm. All right, now we're done with that. A little wide. Still gold. I'll take what I can get at this point.
We've got a bit of a quiet section, by the way. Is it a good time to talk about upcoming incentives?
Absolutely.
Right, so for one of our runs tomorrow, that being Gene Rally World Tour, we will be having a bid war, or rather there is one already open, for what the sound set is. There is, of course, the default, currently in the lead by about $2 worth, versus the funny sound set. What that means, I'm sure you'll have to donate to find out, but I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much. Carry on.
Funny sound set. All right, that's where my fail tests are going. Oh, I missed it again. Like, I can't hit 2-frame windows at 6 o'clock in the morning. It's kind of hard to believe that this franchise was solely responsible for bringing certain manufacturers to different parts of the world, like Subaru to the USA. Isn't it amazing what video games can do? Yay, bronze. And of course, there's a meme coming up. The meme that is IC4. The most load test in pretty much all of Gran Turismo, I think. For those of you who don't know it, you'll realize pretty quick. The developers of Gran Turismo 3, I'm fairly sure, picked up on that, and they added the same car and a similar sort of test into Gran Turismo 3 in the International A, I think it is. And, oh, it's just evil. Alright, 2 down. International time. Oh. Still to this day, no one's been able to actually tell us what the D-Rights logos mean on these two cars. They think it was to do with like a small company in Japan, and they were just sort of doing it as a shout-out. But no one's been able to provide information on it. Plus the fact that the cars are actually unobtainable in the core game. It's a bit of a weird one. Golds or nothing? Heck. Well, I'll just have to start going faster then. Here we go. IC3. This test seems reasonably innocuous now, but then the one that follows it up was largely considered to be a dick move by the developers because if you touch the wall, you failed. I see dead runs. Right. Line corners. A brush on the wall. Nothing major. I'm glad that's out of the way.
Well done indeed.
And it gets better. We've still got the slaloms to do.
So tell us a little bit about the category. It says any percent. What does that entail?
So, as with all the Gran Turismo games, the end goal of any percent is to finish the Gran Turismo World Championships. So basically, like the top championship in the entire game. Unfortunately, throughout the series, access to said GT World Championships becomes somewhat easier or somewhat more difficult depending on which game you're playing. So, for example, in GT2, there are actually two ways to reach it. You've got the Japanese version, this one, which is the shortest, and you'll see why very soon. But the actual 80%, which is done for like the NTSC, US, and PAL versions, requires you to run through all of the Gran Turismo Cup races, basically. So regional, you've got the national ones as well. This one, I don't know why, but in the Japanese version, you don't have to do any of those races. You can just go basically straight out of the license room and go straight to the World Champs. We don't know whether or not this was a coding issue or whether or not it was intended to be that way, but it exists in no other version of the game. And then you have games like GT4 where the World Championships are available straight away, but if you even thought about trying to go in there with just a car that you bought to begin the game with, you're going to get stomped. There are other ones as well, like there's 100% challenges and low percent and various other things. I believe someone's done licenses as a category at one stage. But at least with the GT World Championships, another thing is that usually that's the championship that will trigger things like ending credits or extra features in the games that are being played. So that's generally given as being the end point of the game. Try not to kill the run there. First taste of real power here at Seattle. And oversteer. Ah! You didn't see that. Alright. And now the B. This is where I'm more than likely to drop a few bucks. Because here we get introduced to the first instance in pretty much any franchise of a real world track. Outside of, obviously, the Formula 1 stuff. Because, yeah, this was the first one to include Laguna Seca as an actual track in the game. So it started the trend. Actually, something else worth noting, a bit of a fun fact about these games, is that the NTSC versions, or the NTSC US version of this game, had vastly different time limits for the gold license tests, especially when it came to the rally. For some reason, in America, they got up to an extra 2 seconds to get a gold time over the PAL and also the Japanese versions. Various different lines of thinking as to why that might have been, because maybe some people say that maybe the Japanese felt sorry, and that's another $5. I need to stop. Maybe the Japanese felt sorry for the Americans and their inability to play on gravel tracks, but yeah. Oh God. Okay. I'm up to a tenner. Ah! Come on! First introduction of mid-rear in the game. And it just has to be in one of the worst tests possible. Oh. Also, in the American versions, these tests all have the guidelines on them, which obviously didn't really catch on until the third game of the series. Then all of the tests back in them had it. Nearly lost that. Alright, slaloms, everyone's favorite. Once again, in the American version, these got a much more lenient time frame for the gold test. Oh, whoa. I'll take that. Alright, one more slalom. Oof. Getting that one gold in this version is damn near impossible. Alright. This is at Red Rock Valley, one of the tracks that a lot of people are hoping to see come back to the franchise at some stage in the future. We can only hope, though. And now the bouncy car. Introduction to the corkscrew. Oh! Pushing my luck a bit there. And one to go. So the international A license is a bit of a funny one because the prize car you win from it can basically break the game. Because the Toyota GT1 race cars in this had insane physics. They had the best grip of all of them, of all the actual GT cars, and it was just ridiculously fast. Here we are back at the circle. Trying to coax the thing into a slide. There we go. And I lost the slide. Now we come to Bootleg Spa. Or Eau Rouge, to be specific. Once again, a lot of people raised their eyebrows when they saw this. They thought, if they've done Eau Rouge, why didn't they just go and get the entire track done? In the introduction to Apricot Hill. That was almost bit off too much. But it was good enough. And now back to bad rally physics. Not failing that one today. And then, of course, everyone's favorite car, the Escudo. They give you a teaser of what it's like to drive something with silly amounts of power. And then downhill in a car that shouldn't be here, the S16 Peugeot. And that'll be done for rallying. Le bonk. As the sun comes up. LeBonk. What? Uh. All right, last one for the licenses, and then we can actually do something rather more interesting. We get our first example of cheetah cars in this game. That's the licenses done. Cool, let's go racing, sort of. So, as a lot of people are probably aware with this game, there are horsepower limits on the races that you can enter. However, someone forgot to tell the AI that, and or either that or they didn't read the memo, and there are a bunch of races in this game which are... you're competing against cars that are just flat out overpowered. And what we're about to do is we're going to go and win a specific car, which is overpowered, but we're going to have to fight with a lot of, very broken AI. So this is a 400 PS maximum, but there are cars here with over 500. But we just have to win. And the funny thing is, they just happen to be little starlets from the 1980s. But yeah, most people are familiar with the Ford GT40 and the Historic Car Cup. That one is just not fair. Looks like we got a good grid, though. We got the best grid possible. What the heck? Yeah, this has happened the grand total of once in the entire time that I've run this game. Normally you get the starlets and stuff like this that are broken, but in this case the fastest car is a Celica. Like, no you don't. And in the spirit of good old-fashioned gaming, rubber banding and wall riding is still a thing. Why? So now it's basically a case of trying to stay out in front while the rubber banding AI decides to go absolutely gung-ho into a wall. And this will win us a rather interesting car. A 1980s super touring car, actually. Which is going to allow us to go and basically break everything else. And another fun fact is, with the AI in this game, is that they are much more aggressive in the World Championships on this version than they are in any of the others. No one knows why, but it's just hyper aggressive. I'm not sure there are any other games that are like that though. Average wall ride. Ah, we good. We good. Alright, one more. You take this last lap if you've got anything you want to say or any donation incentives coming up. Now's a good time.
I absolutely can do so. So, first of all, McRaeathon would like to thank BSG for supporting this marathon. Besides providing us with their channel for streaming, they are sharing technical assistance and their donation service with us, which helps with a much smoother running of our events. Be sure to check out BSG's next event, which will be BSG Annual 2022 from the 14th to the 20th of August. I didn't mention it earlier, but we do actually have another incentive. This one is actually quite close to its target. That is for the bonus run of Super Drift Trifecta, which will be performed if it's met by Hamman. Only $10 left for that one, so if you're keen to see it, please do get your donations in. Back to you.
Yeet. Well, we're done with our pleb racing. We're going straight to the champs after this. So like I said, for some reason the Japanese version doesn't force you to go and do all the regional and international races before going to the championships. You can just cut straight into it. Wow, that grid though. All the slow cars. It must have been feeling sorry for me. Alright. Silhouette time. It has been met, Pog. GG. Now, do we get the red one just to be good? Yes. This one will go faster, just because I said so.
Yeah, it is absolutely as you say. That incentive was met, so it looks like we will be seeing that bonus run after all. Fantastic job. Well done to everyone who donated.
Yay! As you just saw, we just skipped everything and went to the end of the game. Okay, now the most aggressive AI in the game. Everybody knows red cars go faster. So this is an example of how, yeah, broken the AI will be, because the aggression on this track is insane. Unfortunately for them, we have coping mechanisms for that. It's called wall rides. We also have the slowest grid. What? No GT1, no R390. The fastest car is a freaking Audi. Goodbye, Audi. Or at least for the moment, anyway. Because we're here to go fast, we're going to use all the wall rides possible. No Vector here, no. I wonder where the Vector is. It's probably sitting there waiting for the Subaru to come out. Like, gotta go fast, gotta go fast. Actually, here's a question for you organizers. How many of the games so far and coming up have you had that have rubber banding as a part of their AI strategy? Because racing games are historically known for having bad rubber banding for the AI.
I would certainly be interested. I know World Race, the Hot Wheels game we had earlier, has pretty severe rubber banding. Certainly for the second place car.
I remember when the first Gran Turismo game, it was the first time I'd seen rubber banding as a kid. And I wondered why the AI was burying themselves in the hairpin at turn 1 at Grand Valley Speedway every time I'd play the game. I thought, you know, it's weird that the cars just sort of throw themselves at the sand trap. It wasn't until after that I realized, oh, okay, so they actually gear the AI to go faster when you're in front. Sort of counterintuitive, but it is what it is, I guess. I'm just sort of curious as to if there was any other stuff out there that can do it.
It certainly bears investigation.
Floor is made of floor. One or two others, but no idea. I seem to recall Micro Machines being pretty bad with the rubber banding as well. And then you had like the Mario Kart games and stuff like that. They all had mad rubber banding as well, but the difference there was the AI was basically on rails. This game was weighed down with the expectations of having real-world driving physics, even though I'm fairly sure real-world cars couldn't do what these things can. But, you know, such is the stigma of the real driving simulator. Hotshot Racing, now that has rubber banding. Oh. But not as bad as Test Drive 4 and 5, though. Okay. Yes, the rubber banding in Gran Turismo 2, it doesn't show itself too often, but when it does, the AI just can't cope. And it basically, the pathing just goes to heck. Good example is some of the later races at Apricot Hill. If you're in first place and the AI is trying to catch you, they will go off at turn 1 and they will stay off. So you can lap them to your heart's content. Also, I might as well mention it now. This track has a little bit of an interesting secret, nestled deep within the very first version of the game that was released. Because in the NTSC US version that was released in November of 1999, it was available for about 7 weeks. It had a rather broken glitch in it because of the fact that a certain manufacturer had been removed from the game. Because in the European and Japanese versions, there is Vauxhall, which is basically GM Holden, Opel, whichever one you want to call it. And there is a car in there called the Vauxhall Tigre. And that car was supposed to be in the roster to run in the 295 horsepower Trial Mountain 30 lap endurance race. However, when the game was localized to America, Opel was removed entirely and Vauxhall was removed entirely, and only Opel existed. Which meant that the car itself, whilst it was listed in the roster of cars that was supposed to show up, was not actually available to the game to actually load. So what happened was, whenever that car was attempted to be loaded in via the roster, it would actually end up loading a car from a different roster for one of the other endurance races. Unfortunately for the 295 horsepower limit, that car in question just happened to be the Vector W12 limited edition rally race car, which had something like 790 horsepower. So you could probably see why people were somewhat stunned to see that their little hatchbacks were being spanked by a V12 powered Le Mans car. It made for some interesting times, and of course they fixed it. They fixed it in the version 1.1 release that came out a few weeks later. But getting holds of copies of that game with the glitches in it is just absolutely hilarious. And thanks to a stream viewer, we were able to get a copy. And it's kind of interesting seeing if we can build cars with less than 300 horsepower that can beat a 790 horsepower monster. It makes for the most intense race you'll ever get in this game. Wait, the AI can gain boost in that game? Trying to cheese that. Yeah, that's a bit broken there, BP, I must admit. But the question is, does it push you to go faster? Or is it just one of those core broken mechanics? Talk. Nice. Looks like the rubber banding is starting to take effect here because I'm seeing a lot of cars spinning at the corkscrew here. Sounds broken, but that's just how the game is. Like no other genre of video game has as many issues as rubber banding as the racing ones. It's funny. Oh, that poor AI. Just AI bashing now. In other games they call it cheating, we call it rubber banding. I can take that. I can take that. I mean, normally if you're doing a racing game and you get, you know, if you're not winning, you can generally sort of start complaining about bad RNG. That's usually the scapegoat. Ah, the RNG hated me. Oh, I couldn't manipulate the RNG. Ah, heckin' RNG. Now we're gonna see dots falling over at the check. This car can be a little bit recalcitrant, especially on the bumpy tracks because it's so light. But thanks to this game's physics, on these flat tracks, it's just ridiculously quick. As soon as you hit bumps, though, that's when it goes all pear-shaped. Whoa! Oh, nice. Jumping through the corkscrew. Okay, that's a new one. Like you saw it here first. Hey, nice. All right, 2 down, 3 to go. Smooth like butter. Alright, and talking of bumpy tracks, now we have a good one. Apricot Hill. Aye. So depending on how RNG is feeling, I'm either going to make it at turn 1 or I'm going to go flying off into the sand trap. I am going to push my luck though. Also, how much torque do you need to be able to pull away in 4th gear from a standing start? Thank you, AI. It'd be really nice to me at the moment. Maybe I should play this game at 7 AM more often. And the next race is the fun one because it's the one where we can technically get out of bounds. Got the same good luck as you did when you get a Driver 2 console run? Yeah, what happened there? We may end up finding the Jaguar coming off the track here. So far, so good. Yeah, every good luck charm going into it. Free world record. Oh, crap. That was a bit close. I run out of boost. I'm just thinking, if this is the last run of the day, if people wanted to see it, I could probably show off the Vector, the glitch. I'll leave that to you guys to decide. Because at the moment, we're going way fast. Whee! That time is still the console PB world record to this day. Nice, that's what you want to see. Yep. Oh. Missing sound files. Such a PlayStation thing. Yep, so there's on the next track on Rome City, you can get out of bounds. There's about 3 areas that you can clip through. Whether or not, like, The problem is, if you get it wrong, you basically lose the race. You have to start again. If you get it right, you can sit there and do donuts just outside the start-finish line for however many laps you need to do. One of my favorite things to do was to go into the 2-hour Rome endurance race, clip out of bounds, sit there and do donuts on the start line for about, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes, and then just put the controller down and go do something else. Because the AI was never going to catch you when you were 65 laps ahead. I'll see if I can get out of bounds. I'll give it a crack. It's kind of difficult to hit because you've got to hit a wall at the exact right angle. And it's a pretty finicky wall ride. Is our first wall ride? Whoop. Alright, so it's not this first sharp corner, it's the second sharp corner after this one. So this corner coming up is the one you can clip out on, so I don't know if this car's going to be fast enough to do it. Ooh, nearly. I got stuck in the wall, so I got the back end of the car into the wall. Basically what you want to do is you need to hit the walls hard enough that the car goes straight through the collision detection for the wall, and then you fall out of the track. And at that point you can use the infield to go back to the start line, and there's about, you can get half your car back on the track before the game will actually realize that you're on the start finish straight and clip you back in bounds. But if you can stay at just the right spot, you can sit there and just do donuts around the start finish straight. Reminds you of the Côte d'Azur out of bounds on GT3. Yeah, well, they wouldn't be too far removed. This is how you drive your car in real life. Oh heck, there's another one where you can try here as well. Alright, this might get enough speed. Oh, yeah, see, I got stuck in the wall then. It's really thingy. I don't think this car actually has the speed to get through, but I know that the Escudo and the GD1 can.
So do we know why this is a functional glitch, or
it seems
just one of those weird things?
It seems to be a functional glitch based on the detection of like the bodies of the cars. It only seems to work with certain cars. We've never seen anyone be able to actually manage to get it with a road car. That being said, the Laguna Seca glitch can be hit by pretty much anything as long as it's fast. But basically, if the game detects that the center of the car is in a certain area on the track, it will clip that car to that section. It doesn't, however, take into account things like extremities, like the wings on this car, for example, might be considered to be too far away. So, whilst the wall's collision detection uses all 4 points, all 4 corners of the model, the actual placement on the track uses the center of the car. So you can do some pretty interesting things with it. Yes, there's one for Special Stage Route 11 in the original, down at the dogleg underneath. I don't know if there are any for any GD3 though. I think there's one at Complex String maybe. You mentioned the Côte d'Azur out of bounds, that's another one. Oh, that corner. Give it one last hit. Come on. Nah. Ooh. Monaco, Seattle, and Complex String. Okay, so there wasn't along those lines. Just gonna fly it. Oh. Get my nose stuck in the door. I think the main thing with the out of bounds in the later games though is that obviously model resolution and framing was a lot better over there, but you can't use them to sort of sit there and do donuts on the start finish line. I think the novelty of being able to do that and just break a race is kind of fun, is more funny. Ooh. All right, coming up for the last race. All right, my PB here is like a 113, so. Alright, midfield. So this is an example of the loading problems that this game can experience. So midfield has an awful lot of off-track artifacts and items that it needs to load and deload based on your position on the screen. Unfortunately for the NTSC versions that run at 30 frames per second, this makes the frame rate tank. And as you can see here, there's chunks missing. This game, look how slow that revs. You can see the frame rate just dying because the PlayStation is trying to render all this new stuff at 30 frames per second and it just can't cope. Whereas the PAL versions rendering at 24 frames per second have no issues and they're actually faster to do. And there I'm going off the road. Heck. Oh. You can see the frame rate struggling until everything loads, and now we're back to normal. But things like all those hills in the background, they're individual items that keep getting loaded and deloaded. So you may or may not see some rather funky graphical glitches going on here. Oh my goodness. Final boss is the frame rate. Yep, that's the one. And I should say now that time is going to be over the finish line of this race. Just so you're aware. Every now and then I will load behind me so that I can deload stuff at the other side of the track. it does help the frame rate just a little bit, and of course that means that the times come down. Two to go. One. This feels like it's been a pretty solid World Champs. Oh, it's deloading the curbs. Last lap, time's coming up. Like, come on, elusive 59-second lap, just to finish it up. There we go. And time. There you go. Das ist
Well done indeed. With a pretty good time by the looks.
What was it? Go on.
It was a 1:12:35.
Oh, there we go. PB kick. Into the 12s.
Very nice indeed. Having some confirmation from the back end. If you wanted to show anything more off, there is ample time to do so.
Well, I mean, I've just got to switch the consoles over and I can run up my Vector challenge and we can have a look at that.
In the meantime then, is there anyone you'd like to shout out?
Shout outs to all the GT speedrunning community really, and also my community for coming along and watching. I know it's a bit of a weird time of day, but it's appreciated seeing a lot of people in the chat as well. It makes it a lot more interesting. And well done to you guys as well for running this event.
Indeed, it has been a pleasure. While we are waiting then...
I'm going to switch my consoles over.
Alright, whilst then we are waiting for that, it's at this point that I should shout out our charity. We are raising money for Mind, which is a nationwide organisation committed to preventing mental health issues and to support everyone who has dealt with mental health issues themselves or within their... All of your donations will go to Mind, so please do get your money in if you think it is a worthy cause. I certainly... And we do also have a bid war currently active for one of our runs tomorrow. That will be the Gene Rally World Tracks sound set incentive. You can bid the default sound set, which is currently in the league, or you can bid for the funny sound set. Now, we've previously expressed a bit of interest there, so I'm sure we'll be seeing some motion quite a ways before that closes.
All right. New console. So I think we'll start with some rather questionable AI coding. So there is a bit of a history with old school video games of, you know, production being rushed and certain artifacts and stuff being left in the end code. This game took it to a whole new level. And like I said, a lot of the issues that came out of Gran Turismo 2 were based on localization. So the game was made in Japan, and it was shipped. They shipped all the details over to America, and then America goes and changes the game to suit their own country, their own requirements. However, it doesn't necessarily correlate with any of the actual information in the game. It's especially the AI. So I'm just going to go and pick myself up. I mean, what car do I want to use? Let's see. I'm going to get the slowest car in the game, and I'm going to go into a race where it is actually impossible to lose. Okay. Don't know if it's going to be here or not. It is. Okay, so I'm going to use a Subaru 360, the slowest car in the game. Because it's cute, right? So you'd think, no, there's no way in hell this thing's going to be able to actually go and win a race. Actually, it can. So I'm just going to chuck some dirt tires on it real quick. Now, one of the first things you'll notice with regards to issues in this game is that the names of some of the cars are very wrong. For example, this one just says the opponent is rally car. That's descriptive, right? What it doesn't tell you is that it's a Peugeot 206, but we're going to go and race it. So 36 horsepower versus 300 plus, right? I'm going to use all the power of 1958. Look at it. It's just powerful machine. It's like, oh, we are so fast. And then, what? Yeah, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing? I think he's a bit lost, guys. He's definitely experiencing some tracking issues there, I suppose you could say. So basically what's happening here is the AI's tracking for this particular circuit is actually that of Grindelwald. And Grindelwald's tracking has the same glitch, which is actually for the Tahiti maze. Because somehow, in the process of transferring the data between the Japanese version and the American one, these two tracks got mixed up. So I can sit here all day in my little 1958 car, and I can go off and make myself a cup of coffee, and I could go and, I don't know, drive across to Sydney if I really wanted to. Come back, and I would still be able to win this race. Because that AI car is about to give up. And he will just sit there for the rest of the race and do nothing. So if you have an original version of this game and you want free money, just do this, and you can do it over and over again. But yeah, tracking. It's a
nice relaxing Sunday drive.
Literally, like you could just leave the car and just drive and go. Problem is the car doesn't have enough power to pull itself up a hill, which is a bit awkward. So, the big one though is obviously the vector challenge. Now, does anybody have a car that they'd like to see put up against it for a couple of laps? Any suggestions from the chat? I'll take whatever. As long as I can get 300 horsepower out of it. Actually, I wonder if I should take Astoria.
Would it be cheating to say a Subaru?
No, we can use a Subi. Which one?
Fastest one.
Fastest one? It's gotta be this.
Yeah.
Gotta be the coupe. I'd love to see the... Oh, the yellow Evo. Oh. That's a good one.
Oh, God, who said it?
Yellow Evolution. All right.
Just want to say the yellow Evo, or the pink Yaris, yeah. It's basically a meme.
Gotta have a meme card to do
I
it.
should have figured as much.
It's that one.
What was it, the Evo 5 that was the...
The Evo 5 or the Evo 6?
It was Evo 5, Gran Turismo
So that-
2000 was the meme, wasn't it?
Evo
If there
5.
is one. If not, then
Yeah.
6. But
Hey, look at that. It was made for it. So I'm just going to do a little bit of mod just to bring it up because we want to make this an unfair fight. Oh, it's already got 293. Okay, that's fine. So we'll give it some brakes. Basically, we want to try and maximize our chances of seeing the vector coming up, so a tuned car will, for some reason, produce a better result. It was the Evo 5? Sweet. Well, here we go. Excellent. Max the drivetrain, and then we'll see if we can't get this thing to come out and play. So it's going to be completely stock engine.
the fact that this is actually a thing in this game is mind-blowing.
Oh, this is an example. Like I said, this is an example of rush development and localization, basically culminating in a massive cluster heck of just craziness. There's no other way to put it.
I suppose it's like one of the things that they messed up with Colin McRae Rally 1. They didn't think that basically what they did with the first game in the series was if you beat the Intermediate Championship and you beat like certain rallies, you got bonus cars. And one of the cars you unlocked was the Audi Quattro, which is the fastest car in the game.
Oh.
The second quickest being the Ford S200. When you get to the expert, they just put you against the same 4 cars from the intermediate. You didn't bother to use the faster cars, so you can actually end up beating the AI. I'd say even without trying, but there is a bit more to it. Let's put it this way: for me to actually be challenged in that game at the moment, or in general at all, I did a challenge. I challenged myself. So on the PC version, you can actually set all the stages. It's something you can get on the PS1 as well. You can set all the stages to night. You can mirror everything, and you can set all the stages back to front.
Oh, bloody hell.
So I had all of them turned on. Expert AI with the Audi Quattro, still beat them all. So it's like, right, let's tone it down a bit. Let's turn it down to the Subaru. Anyway, you try and beat them with the Subaru, and it's pretty difficult. They actually are a challenge. I think I only just about won all 8 rallies as well. So
let's see if we can get it. Let's see if we can coax this vector into existence.
Watch it now.
There it is, right there. There he is. First race. Like, who thought this was a good idea? Look at that thing. And now we have Ridge Racer for the rest of the race if you really wanted to see it. But this is a classic piece of broken software.
You really couldn't make this up, could you? Like, you had the best look in the marathon.
You're seeing it here.
It's like, I really want to show this off, and yet in practice it took like 8 or 9 attempts before it came out to play.
Yeah.
Not this time it didn't.
Well, it's because it's a yellow Evo 5 trying to chase it down. Yeah, this is just ridiculous. And like I said, the amount of people who didn't actually realize that this was a thing is quite astounding. And it's because the fact that this version of the game, this very copy, was only sold for 7 weeks. Come here, Vector. I just want to play. Sort of. See how quickly it just pisses off down the road. I'll see if I can catch him within 3 laps. It may happen. Depends on how bad he takes these top corners. But yeah, this makes an interesting section called "Will It Vector?" Memes are real.
I mean, I was going to say, will it blend? That is the question. No, it's not.
That's pretty much where it came from.
Wrong.
Yeah.
Will it vector? That is the question.
I'm just, can you imagine being a kid who bought this game brand new or got given it, and you went into this race and this happened? Like, how would you feel?
Yeah, it's like you
First
bring
of
it
all,
up, little
cheating.
Timmy. How here you go, your Christmas present, little Timmy. Don't worry about that car; it's just gone. Console yourself with second place.
Yeah, it's like second place. However, there is one saving grace. Unfortunately, the Vector has to pit every 14 laps because it basically runs out of tires. The race is 30 laps, which means he pits on the second last lap. So if you can stay within about 23 seconds of him, you can win the race. It is doable.
Then you've got to burn your own tires up to get.
Yep. Here's another glitch in this game. In this version, tire wear is not a factor. They all wear at the exact same rate. So you can put the stickiest tires on and they will wear at the same rate as the racing hard tires. So you get all the grip, but none of the drawbacks. So you only have to lap once.
Win, right?
Yep. Well, basically, you only have to pit once. But yes, there is all kinds of different the glitches and stuff in here, and I'll show you one more before I sign off. It's basically it's actually a copyright issue, a licensing issue with Ford Motor Company. So back in the late 90s, early 2000s, when NASCAR was huge, there was a car called the Ford Taurus, which was basically a NASCAR in road trim. And what the developers at Polyphony decided to do was they thought, hey, we'll pay tribute to this by making our own livery, which is based on a NASCAR in America. That's all well and good and all, but you'd think they might have actually asked the this team that they actually copied if they could actually do it, right? I mean, it's just common courtesy, but they didn't. And what happened was there was a bit of a legal issue, and I shall now show that now that we've shown the vector. Awesome, getting spam blocked. Oh. So, I'm sure most of you will be familiar with the brand Valvoline. We're going to go and pick ourselves up with a Taurus here. Pretty unassuming looking car. But then you go and look at its racing modifications and it'll become fairly obvious why they got in trouble. Does the livery look familiar?
I don't know, I haven't seen it yet. The string's got a cancel.
Oh no.
Oh, the NASCAR one.
That is Mark Martin's number 6 car from the 1999 NASCAR series. And when Ford caught wind of this being a thing, they got really, really annoyed about it. And basically turned around and said to them, you have to remove this livery now or we'll sue the pants off you. So in version 1.1 of this game, this no longer exists. And also, Hammerson actually brought up a good point. It also occurs to the Ford Focus rally car, which I think has also got the Valvoline icons on it.
I mean, it's a shame, but it's the same thing with what happened in Gran Turismo 3.
You can see on the front guards here.
I was going to say they had on the Evo. I think it was the Evo 6 or 7.
Yep, there's the Mitsubishi rally car. Yep, that's in here. These are all these
That didn't
copyright
have
issues.
Any of the rally, I was gonna say that didn't have the rally stuff on it. Well, half of it. Like I think in GT Concept you have the Subaru rally car and the Impreza rally car and the Lancer Evo rally car.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually have the official WRC livery, but they were taken out before GT3's release.
Yep.
Sorry, between 3 and 4. So 3 had the Evo and the Impreza, but it didn't have the official WRC livery.
Mm.
Then the concept game came out, and when they came out, they had the actual liveries from the games. But then in the 4th one, the games don't have the drivers, I don't think, or something. I can't remember. It's like 3 doesn't have the drivers, the concept does, which came out after 3, and then 4 doesn't, or something. So there's like one part where the cars did have like the official drivers on the side, like McRaeathon or whoever. It was weird.
Yeah, and there's also other various glitches as well. Like there's this car here, the Dodge concept car. You remember that from the original, the front engine rear drive Dodge? What's wrong with this picture? Anyone?
The concept car. I remember there was something about that car, wasn't there?
Yes, there was.
I can't remember. Was it something to do with Dodge Motor Company?
No. Take a look at it. Take a look at its drive line.
Driver line.
It's mid-engined. Because what basically the story behind this one was the fact that the car was marketed as a mid-front engined sports car because they mounted the engine behind the front axle. Unfortunately, when they localized this car, they basically said, "Oh, if it's mid-engine, we'll mark it in the game as mid-engined as well." Yeah, the engine's still in the front, guys.
Oh no!
So this car,
It's supposed to be an FR car.
it's supposed to be an FR car, yes, not MR. So of course, because it's mid-engined, it can enter all the events that require mid-engine cars.
I was going to say, McRaeathon, the racing marathon with knowledge that's provided constantly.
And it has too much power. So
It's like Top Gear, isn't it?
it's a bit like that.
Cares.
And then I believe there was also the Dodge Intrepid, or something like that, which was basically a drag car, but it was front-wheel drive.
To be honest, if we're being honest, and if we're talking about like Gran Turismo games being broken, let's be honest, Gran Turismo 4 has a lot of broken stuff in that.
Oh yeah.
Cars fitting in categories they shouldn't go to because they're actually shorter than what they look like and they're breaking the game and stuff.
Here's another thing as well. Here's a bit of lost information to the years. In the original version of Gran Turismo 2, drag racing was supposed to be a thing, which is why you saw things like the HKS 180, the HKS R33. What they didn't remove was this car.
The actual drag racing.
No, this car here, the Dodge Intrepid. So you're looking at this, it's an unassuming family sedan. There is just one slight issue. It's racing modification. So if you can imagine
Show it.
your 220 horsepower front-wheel drive family saloon looking like this.
Oh god, this is gonna be fun.
It's cringe.
Oh my god.
Front-wheel drive drag strips, yo. That mad.
What were they called back then? They weren't. It wasn't Funny Car, was it? No, Funny Car was a mad one.
That's a
What
door
were they
slammer.
called? Pro
It's
stock or something.
Pro stock and then door slammer. So there you go. If for all those people with front-wheel drive Civics and they want to put a hood scoop on their car, you have now been vindicated. So there. That's pretty much it. Like glitchies and stuff.
Thank you very much, Rota, for that fantastic run and glitch showcase. And thanks, Viper, for hopping in for some extra commentary right at the end.
No worries.
Where can people find you, Rota?
Over at twitch.tv/RotaMota. You'll see me Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. either breaking games or getting broken in games. Shout out to Lily. It happens. We just had to have some fun.
Fantastic stuff. Alright, with that, I believe, Viper can verify, we are done for the day. It is only sleep to remain. Thank you very much to everyone who watched today. We will be back tomorrow with more exciting races, so please do stay tuned and look forward to the next one.